Hello and welcome back to the Optimize Self Show for episode 12. As always, I'm your sensei, aka host, Justin Archer. And before we get started, because we got some fun stuff to go over today, including age management, duck feet, and abdominal separation. For those of you tuning in for the first time, just a quick little summary about what the show is about, as well as what's going on over at OptimizeSelf.ninja. So again, if this is your first time tuning in, really, this show is all about crowdsourcing knowledge and experience from one another. I myself have 13 plus years in the health slash fitness slash wellness, let's put it on the umbrella of making bodies better world. I'm sure you have some experience yourself working with other experts, professionals, testing things out yourself. But the one thing we all share in common who tune into the show and go to the site and are part of the Optimize Self Dojo is we're all looking to either rediscover our health, upgrade our fitness, and or optimize our wellness, all while having fun, kicking ass through lifestyle design. And that last part is key, is we don't just look at it as let's exercise your way out of pain or into good health, or let's just focus on diet. Although both those things are important, we take a lifestyle design approach. We zoom out and we look at things like your breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, exercise, as well as things like your environment and mindset, and look at how are they either positively or negatively influencing your endeavors to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve, whether it's get out of chronic pain, lose weight, build muscle, gain strength, have more flexibility, functionality, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so that's what we do here. Anyways, let's get right into the show. We got 3 questions today, and let's get started. But first, let me say hi here, introduce myself for those of you that haven't seen me, and also let me put up, I'm still trying to figure out, I got to create a custom lower third, so excuse this little delay here as I build a little lower third so you guys again know my name and know where to find me. You can see me looking down here. That's what I'm actually doing. This is high production value, right? All right, so that's me. That's where you can find me over at OptimizeSelf.ninja. And let's get right into the episode. All right. So first off, we have a question from Pam, and Pam was so kind to actually, I'm sorry, Pam, I got ahead of myself. For those new viewers, they have to know the Optimize Self drinking game, and that is every time I switch subjects or switch addressing someone, answering a question, take a drink of water. Could be something else here that can make this show really fun, but I'll tell you, it's pure water. And so when I drink, you drink. Keeps us hydrated, right? It's the second most important foundation of our health, hydration. So cheers. I always make the joke that, you guys have it easy. You can pause and go to the bathroom. I'm recording this live, so, build a strong bladder, I guess. Anyways, all right, Pam. Thank you for sticking with me there as I went off on that little tangent and explained the Optimize Self drinking game. All right, so Pam was kind enough to take the time and the initiative to take the Optimize Self test. And for those of you watching who maybe don't know what it is it is a form you can go find over on OptimizeSelf.ninja. It's a big red orange button below the one and only video player at the top of the web page. You click there and you take this this test. You fill out this form, and it helps you kind of reflect on what could be contributing to your symptoms or getting in the way of whatever's holding you back. It also helps give me the information I need to give you better quality answers, all right? Because I definitely believe that the better quality questions you ask, the better quality answers you receive. So that's why I put together the Optimize Self test. So Pam took the test and she asked, how much does posture contribute to overall health? I have scoliosis and I often have stiffness in my lower back, and I'm convinced that something is off with my posture, as walking and standing for any amount of time ends up with increasing stiffness and being uncomfortable. Well, like I made mention to before, Pam, anyone else who's listening, we take a lifestyle design approach. So we factor in things like what I refer to as the 7 foundations of your health: breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, and movement. And although I wouldn't include environment and mindset maybe as foundations of health, or at least yet, I would say they're kind of always circling those 7 other foundations of health, and in some way or form, either positively or negatively influencing them. So with that said, the question that I would pose you, and if I was in your shoes, pose to myself, is how much and in what ways are the quality of each of those foundations of health contributing to your posture? You know, because your posture doesn't get out of whack just to piss you off and annoy you. You know, scoliosis and a stiff, lower back doesn't just happen, right? So how are the quality of your breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, exercise, as well as your environment and mindset? How are those things adding up to the posture that you currently have? Okay. And if you want to get back to me on that, I would love to interact with you and talk about it some more. As far as how much does your posture contribute to your overall health? A lot, really, especially when it comes to chronic pain, because and things like scoliosis, stiffness in your lower back, things like that, because your body, the weight of your body should be evenly distributed left to right and front to back. If it's not, then it's going to cause certain joints, tendons, ligaments, connective tissue, muscles, joints, things like that to work more than others, and there's going to be uneven wear and tear. Just like your tires, if they're not properly rotated or aligned, it's going to cause certain things in your vehicle to wear out faster than others. So that kind of happens in the body too. So posture is very, very important. What I would recommend you do is, and I'll include a link in the show notes below, and by show notes I mean the description area of the YouTube video, since this is through YouTube live events, a link to a post I did on scoliosis back over on the postureguy.com, which is a website I still own, I just don't contribute to anymore. OptimizeSelf.ninja is basically the successor to the postureguy.com. But a post I did on scoliosis, so I'd recommend you check that out. And then also, I would definitely recommend you join the Optimize Self Dojo, which for those of you that don't know, and Pam, if you're one, it is part accountability / support group for people looking to, rediscover their health, upgrade their fitness, and or optimize their wellness, things like get out of chronic pain and things like that. Basically become the best version of yourself possible. So there's the accountability / support group. It's kind of a mastermind. We do weekly live trainings each Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for usually about 60 to 90 minutes. And also in there's access to what I refer to as the Optimize Self Arsenal, which is includes access to various tools, guides, and resources, one of which is called the Optimize Self First Aid Kit, which is a list or an accumulation of exercise routines. And this is based off of my 7, almost 8 years doing postural alignment therapy, in which I include exercise routines to help relieve and ideally eliminate 20 of the most common chronic pain symptoms, things like lower back, hip, knee, shoulder pain, stuff like that. And in there's one for scoliosis and there's one for neck pain. So I'd recommend you go look into that. There's a lot of, I can go into all the stuff that's included in the dojo, but if you go to Optimize Self Dojo, scroll below where you clicked to take the Optimize Self test, and you'll see everything that's included there. I think currently right now you can get a lifetime membership for $14, unless another one's sold, then it's $15. Each membership is $1 more. So I would definitely recommend you get that, especially while the price is so low, because just in the first year there's $3,650 worth of content, material, and value. So definitely check that out. Would love to have you as part of the dojo. And I think there's a lot of stuff that would help you, including the scoliosis and neck pain routine. All right. Let's see. Pam had another question. What are the best ways to manage aging, like menopause and changes in metabolism? Don't have a lot of experience with menopause, being male. I've had a few, over 13 years, couple people I've worked with, but aging in general, let me speak towards something I know more about. Aging is a byproduct of our daily habits and the cumulative effect of each of those foundations of health put together. Again, breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and exercise. And the thing you have to keep in mind is that your body is a stimulus response organism, and it responds to stimulus 24/7 without prejudice. So it's what you do the majority of the time that matters, not your best intentions, okay? And total health, i.e. aging, or what most people commonly refer to as aging, is accumulative. So it's what you did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and so on and so forth, that's caused you to be the age, and I use quotation bunny ears here, but the age that you and others perceive you to be. Not just, obviously it's easy to quantify how many days and years you've been on, alive on the planet Earth. That's easy, we call them birthdays. I just had one 8 days ago. I just turned 29, so yes, I'm still relatively young, but we know how old I am, we know how old you are, everybody knows how old they are, but it's how actual old their bodies are, certain systems of their bodies, how they function, how they perform. That is all determined again by the accumulation of their daily habits and routines over years or decades, depending on how old you or anyone else that we're talking about is, okay? So for me, I'm how old I am physically, mentally, emotionally, all that, because of the past 29 years and 8 days. All that has built up. Even a little bit, even before that. For example, what my parents were doing, we won't go into this TMI, too much information, about what their health was and their lifestyle when I was conceived. And then of course what my mom did when I, was in her belly developing and all that. So, that's epigenetics. That is a whole nother topic for later discussion. But as you can tell, I'd be very excited of going there and talking about that more. But let's see here. I made a couple other notes that I want to share with you. So again, yeah, total health and what your age is. It's cumulative. And if you want to be healthier, then you simply start to make changes and act healthier. If you want to function like you did when you were younger, then you have to move like you did, even if it's challenging at first, to move like you did when you were younger, because eventually a movement or position that's difficult for you, soon that you avoid soon becomes something you can't do, and that kind of pushes you towards what people refer to as aging or getting older, because older people, or when you age, you can't do this thing and you can't do this other thing. Well, I'll tell you what, I've also seen it in what we'd refer to as young people younger than myself, where they can't do these things that a 70, 80, 90-year-old can, because the 70, 80, 90-year-olds continue to do those things. Basically, if I were to say kind of one takeaway from this, is life is practice, and practice makes permanent, not perfect. Okay, so you have to look at, how do you practice life? How do you practice the things you do each and every day, with emphasis, here on those foundations of health: breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and exercise. Okay, so hopefully that answers that for you. Also, you said inside the test that you struggle with sleep. I said, as I've entered into menopause, I have an increasing difficulty falling and staying asleep. The hot flashes don't help either. I know that my mom has those as well. Neither does my husband. Sorry, my stepdad does that too sometimes. So I know. They both told me about that. I've taken to going into another room when he snores. Are you sure this isn't my mom who is actually writing this in and saying she's Pam? I don't know. Just sounds very familiar, which I'm sure it is with a lot of couples. But my sleep is interrupted. All right, so here's a couple recommendations that I would, well, make, that I would recommend. Recommendations I would recommend. And this is in no particular order. Inside the dojo, I have a whole module, I have a whole presentation with slides and various resources of things. I go much deeper and wider into how to optimize your sleep. And this could be beneficial to you, specifically to you and you doing those things, as well as things that I would recommend your husband do as well. But seeing as how that would take far too much time, it's far beyond the scope of this one video response answer. I'll give you a couple things to do. All right. So number one is try and eat a significant amount of healthy fats, things like MCT oil, grass-fed butter, nuts or nut butters. Could be, I'm trying to think what else. Fish or fish oils, things like that, as well as the majority of your daily carbs 2 to 3 hours before you intend to go to sleep. So that would be, what most people refer to as dinner or your last meal of the day. Okay, especially the fats. A lot of people are scared of fats, and especially if they go low carb or no carb. I don't know what your nutrition or your diet is right now, but the mistake that most people make is they'll feel very tired or they'll disrupt their sleep because they're sugar burners. They're burning off glucose, and they're not replacing that with any other type of energy source like ketones from fats. So make sure you eat plenty of healthy fats, as well as carbs during your last meal of the day. Try to go to bed at a consistent time, ideally sometime before 11 p.m. to avoid a cortisol surge that your body naturally does to kind of then keep you awake past 11. So, if it's 10, 10:30, whatever, try to be as consistent as you can 7 days a week. That will help, as well as you should realize waking up more consistently in the morning 7 days a week. Try to turn off all screens 1 to 2 hours before bed. I know that's tough for a lot of people, especially with mobile devices everywhere. If you have to have a computer or a screen on around you, use something called Flux. It's F.LUX. It's basically like a sunset for your computer. It helps filter out blue and white light, which disrupts your circadian rhythm. So you can do that. It's free. You can find it for PCs, Macs, I think even Linux. If you have a mobile device, some of them have Flux or something like it to filter out that blue or white light. I just simply turn the brightness down to about maybe a quarter or an eighth during the evening, so it's not blasting light in the bedroom. Which also brings me to light in the bedroom. Make it as dark as possible. That's why, one, no screens, TV off, this off. Even if there's something as little as the little light on a TV in a bedroom, or the green or red, whatever color your alarm clock is, or a little dot, even that can disrupt your sleep. So try to black that, make that so that doesn't show. You can put little tape over it, right? Like electrical tape or something like that. They even make special little dots that are specifically for that to block that light off. So trying to make it as dark as possible. Also lower the temperature to somewhere between 66 to 68 degrees. That's the average kind of optimal temperature, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, to go to sleep in. If you and your husband like to sleep at different temperatures, I would recommend you check out something called a chili pad. It's basically a cover that goes, it goes on top. You sleep on top of it, and you can change the temperature. I think it has a little bit of water, I believe, running through it, and there's a little deal that sits beside the bed, and you can have different temperatures, almost like dual climate control zone. Was it dual climate zones? Yeah, in cars, it's basically like that for your bed. So if you guys like warmer or colder on different sides, to check that out. It's called a chili pad. I'll try to remember to link that up in the show notes below. Also, practice conscious diaphragmatic breathing. That is a 1 to 2 inhale to exhale ratio, in and out through your nose for approximately 3 to 5 minutes prior to going to bed, ideally in a position that's going to prepare your body to, not prepare, but yeah, prepare your body to go to sleep, meaning that you're going to bring a better aligned body with you to bed. So something like static back, which if you haven't already seen that, I'll link to it down below. Basically just lying on your back with your legs up at 90 degrees on a chair, stool, or ottoman. Thus using the floor as like a giant ruler to remove any rotation from your spine, so great for scoliosis. Removing also rotation from your pelvic and shoulder girdle, and also extending the spine. So that'd be really good. You can practice the diaphragmatic breathing while in that position. Also try to sleep in a good position. A lot of people with scoliosis tend to be side sleepers. Side sleeping is asymmetrical by nature, so it's going to actually kind of solidify the asymmetries that you have. So it's going to make the scoliosis worse. Now, I don't know which side the curvature is to or which hip is higher than the other. I have been toying around, kind of doing some experience with myself and some other people in terms of positions you can sleep in to reverse that. My default though, without working with someone one-on-one or having them on as like a retainer client, is to recommend sleeping on your back with either 0 or 1 pillow under the head, a small pillow if you're going to use any, and 1 to 2 pillows under your lower leg and knee. Doing so will help put your pelvis in a neutral position, and it'll help take kind of the load off muscular-wise to your lower back and hips. Also for I'll get into your some recommendations for your husband a little bit later, because I think I wrote this down. Oh, actually, it was next, so never mind. I have some notes on the side here, but I guess I was right on track without even having to look on them. So yes, the sleeping position, 0 to 1 pillow under the head, 1 to 2 pillows under the lower leg, would be beneficial for you and your posture, because a lot of people don't think of sleeping as an activity, but it is. Again, form follows functions. You know, it's what you do the majority of the time that matters, not your best intentions. So you can do postural corrective exercises, but if you're sleeping in a, say for example, on your side that's asymmetrical, well, half an hour or even an hour worth of postural corrective exercises can't undo 6, 7, 8 or more hours of sleeping on your side in an asymmetrical, aka scoliosis type position. Okay, so that would be beneficial for you, but also I think it'd be beneficial for your husband with his snoring, because I bet you, I'm kind of assuming here off of experience, but if you look at his posture from the side, from the profile, his head is probably significantly forward of his shoulders, right? So if you look at like his ear canal is significantly forward of his shoulder, and that could be one of the contributors to him snoring. So I would recommend, you know, he do things like the static back before bed and then switching up the changing position. He also may find it, I just think, more comfortable. So look at that. Also take a look-see, and I'll link to this in the show notes below, but it is a podcast. It's on YouTube, but also if you listen to podcasts, you can find it. It's on Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Radio, and it's an interview with Dr. Philip Westbrook and Dan Lewandowski. Hey, Polish name. My wife's Polish. Called Sleeping for Performance with Neurotechnology. It's episode 129, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes below. That'd be really good for both, I think, you and your husband to look at. One of my favorite interviews about sleep and everything, because it's definitely important, right? Let's see. So I think that covers about the sleep. Let's see. You say you're also interested in improving organization and procrastinating less. Well, it's funny you mentioned procrastination, because just in the episode before this, episode 11, which I'll include a link in the show notes below, in episode 11, I talked about something called the focus funnel, which is something that Rory Vaden, I don't know, if you want to say self-help, he's really good with time management, and the focus funnel kind of helps you with organization, time management, and things like that. But procrastination is really a, you know, it's really priority dilution, and it shows you, you know, as you go through the funnel, as you have something that pops up that, oh, you think I need to do something with this, right? it's a fire that needs putting out. It looks at, can you delete it? Can you automate it? Can you delegate it? Or can you procrastinate on purpose and put it off to a later time? If not, because a lot of people say, oh, this is important. Well, a lot of times in daily life, you go, oh, this is important, this is important. Well, a lot of people confuse importance with urgency. If it's important but not urgent, then go ahead and procrastinate on purpose. That's okay. I do this regularly, and put it off for you to deal with at a later time when you're better suited to do that, right? If it's something that's urgent, has a due date, like today or tomorrow, and it's also important, then yes, get on that right away. If you can't, again, delete it, automate it, or delegate it to someone else, okay? Also, I would recommend, and again, this is kind of beyond the scope of this one video response. This is why I definitely recommend you, as well as anybody else, to join me and the other Optimize Self ninjas and ninjettes inside the Optimize Self Dojo, because we do weekly live trainings, and we go a lot deeper and wider into some of these principles that I'm sharing with you. For example, organization and time management, using technology, hey there, using technology, systems, and batching to help automate repetitive tasks and thus save you time. All right, I'm huge into time management. One little last thing I'll leave you with on that is a lot of people look at time management as just strategies and systems, which is partially correct, but also I think a lot of people miss that time management is also an emotional problem. It's not just technological and strategical, it's actually emotional. And again, this is stuff we talk again more within more in depth inside the dojo. So again, hopefully you join and see you in there. Okay, what else? Oh, and Pam, you said as you rated yourself, that your lowest foundations of health was sleep, which you gave yourself a 2 out of 10, 10 being the best. Then breathing, and I believe breathing out of 5, and the rest were 6 and 7s. You said you base this on the consensus of what is optimal in published articles. And that's fine. The reason I put this form together was to find out what people perceive about each of their foundations health, how they would rank them, and then what is the measuring stick that they're using to determine, how they rate themselves. Basically, how do you know what you know? Because unfortunately, and this is coming from 13 plus years experience being in the health, fitness, wellness industries, is that unfortunately the majority of information out there is misinformation, marketing, and or social memes. So which is unfortunate. And that's why, again, I always pose, how do you know what you know? And what I would recommend to Pam and anyone else watching is get better at self-quantification. And this is becoming much easier with with technology. Inside the dojo, I have a list of the kick butt list of self-optimization apps, which is a list of apps that, oh my gosh, if I had access to these things when I started trying to figure all this stuff out 13 plus years ago, I would have saved hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, as well as a lot of time and effort. So really, just even that alone is worth the price of entry, which I said I think right now is like $14. Again, the price goes up every membership. So yeah, self-quantification is huge. I love the self-quantification movement, people being able to own their data, because after all, your health is your responsibility, right? My health is my responsibility. And I always tell people, yeah, read articles, listen to experts and gurus, both of which I do not like to be called, and I don't refer to myself as just someone with 13 plus years experience, made a lot of mistakes, learned from them. Hopefully I can share what I've learned with you to help you avoid some of the bigger pitfalls that many other people like myself have made along the way, so you can get from wherever you are currently to where you want to be in as short a time, as quickly, as efficiently, as simply as possible. Okay, that's my dreams, my hopes for Optimize Self Ninja and the show. But I think that self-awareness is really the best health and life insurance there is. So almost to an extent of maybe not forever, but especially temporarily when you're trying to troubleshoot a health problem, you become hyper aware of the quality of your breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, exercise, environment, mindset, all those things. Because when you do so, when you test and measure, whatever gets tested and measured gets managed and often improves. Okay, so that's why I'm really big on better self quantification. And again, probably the easiest, simplest, freest way to get started is through apps. There's ones that, again, test, measure, and track your breathing, all the foundations of health. I know I'm repeating myself, but check those out, especially if you join the Dojo, the kick butt list of self-optimization apps. But I think even just taking the Optimize Self test and then watching this back, you'll start to think, well, how does this contribute to this? And how is the way I do this, or the way I stand, or the way I sit, and the things I regularly put in my body and consume, and how is my input determining my output, basically. Okay. Let's see. Also, Pam would like some tips that are easy to understand and use. Oh, Pam, you and me both, what do we all? And trust me, I love simplicity. I love systems. I love frameworks, step-by-step video tutorials that take you by the hand and guide you step by step. And that's why I created the Optimize Self Arsenal, as well as the tools, guides, and resources found inside to help you do just that. And that's why I included it inside the Optimize Self Dojo. If you're thinking, oh, he's trying to sell me on this, yes, I am. Because I definitely believe in it. And the reason I want you and everyone else to join, as you can tell, I do not am bashful or sell from the heels, more from the balls of my feet or from the toes, is because these are the things myself and I share with my one-on-one and retainer clients that are the most important principles that I've learned throughout my 13 plus years experience, helping people. And I truly believe in it, and that it can help you like it has helped me, my friends, my family, clients, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you join and look at that, because that's so far, and I'm always looking to simplify, but that is the simplest way I've done so. And when you're inside the dojo, you'll have the tools, guides, and resources, as well as more access to me and the other dojo members, as I refer to them as ninjas and ninjettes. Inside there is where I can help people to the best of my ability. And so that's why I want you and anyone else who's looking to better themselves, health, fitness, wellness wise, to join there, because that's where I think they can make get the fastest, most efficient results they want, and it's where I can help them the most. So check that out. A quote that when I read this, I was reminded by Einstein, and it says, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. So again, although inside the dojo, inside the arsenal, try to make things as simple as possible, I don't ever want to trick or lure people into believing that, hey, if you just exercise, or if you just diet, or if you just do this one thing, what I refer to as using kind of single factor focused thinking, or putting the single factor focus blinders on, or taking that type of single factor focus approach, that they're going to get all the results they want, because unfortunately that's just not the case. So again, I'm all for having something be as simple as possible, just not simpler, because that would be doing you and everyone else a huge disservice if I or anyone else try to sell them on that. If you just do this one thing, just this one thing, you're golden, because as I'm sure you're probably well aware, and most people know this, it's not just one thing. There is no magic pill or magic exercise like we talked about earlier, but it bears repeating. The human body, right? It's a stimulus response organism. It responds to stimulus 24/7 without prejudice. And so it's what you do the majority of the time that matters, and not your best intentions, Let's see. And last but certainly not least, I do truly believe that our symptoms, like scoliosis or lower back pain or stiff neck or whatever, are a direct result of the quality of lifestyle that we that we lead and practice. Okay. So Pam, hopefully that helps answer everything, all the questions you had and the things that you were interested in, and probably then some. But if you have any follow-up questions, you can leave them for me in the comment section over at YouTube. Shoot me an email, which I know you have since you took the Optimize Self test. And like I said, I hope to see you inside the Optimize Self Dojo because, like I said, I think I can even help you more so in there, especially when you have access to the Optimize Self arsenal and everything inside, the other members, as well as myself. So hopefully see you inside there. Thank you for, again, taking the test. All right, now we're gonna switch. So I'm gonna take a drink of water and we'll move on to the next question. All right, got an email from Tim, and this is actually someone I talked to a while ago, hadn't heard from in quite some time, but wrote me an email to wish me a happy birthday and happy anniversary. FYI, my wife and I's anniversary is on my birthday, so works out well. Thank you, Tim, for that, by the way. And wrote in saying, every time I walk, my feet are turned outwards. Does that just mean my hips are tight or weak? Tim, most likely tight rather than weak, as I'm sure you're well aware from other discussions we've had and other videos I've done. Muscles could be short and tight or long and taut, but I'm trying to remember from pictures or postures I've seen in the past, but I would say short and tight. So my recommendations would be stretch your glutes, bicep femoris. That's if you look at your hamstring, your back upper leg, and you cut it in half, it's the outside, the lateral aspect of your hamstring. So that's the bicep femoris, as well as your calves. So 3 exercises that come to mind, and I'll link to in the show notes below, is like assisted hip lift, IT band stretch, and wall drop. Okay, if you don't have some type of slant board, you can also do a gravity drop. But I'll tell you what, I've been using the slant board, which you can see over my shoulder there, which we didn't have when we were traveling, and now we're still kind of traveling, but we're here in Southern California for quite a while. And oh my gosh, did I miss that? It feels so good. And that will help. Those 3 exercises and exercises like that really go after the glutes, bicep femoris, and calf muscles will really help tame and return that musculature back to its normal length and tension, so your knees and feet aren't torqued to the outside. They can sit more in a neutral position with your hip and ankle pointed straight ahead. Okay. Tim also says, also, if the paraspinal muscles, which for those of you that know are the muscles that run up and down either side of your spine, if those are tight, will it affect my breathing? I also feel like I can't really rotate my spine in those rotational exercises you showed me because those muscles are tight. Should I do SMR, self-myofascial release, on those areas as well? So Tim, what I'd recommend is try breathing in positions like drape, air bench, and or static back that help elongate or kind of at least tone down the paraspinal muscles, right? So rather something that's flat or flexed rather than arched will kind of help tone down or kind of put to sleep those muscles. So again, things like drape, air bench, static back. Yeah, you can do some direct self-myofascial release type of stuff. You can use a foam roller, excuse me. Something else I'll quickly get for you over here in the corner. Let me show you this. Oh, what the heck. I'll show you a couple things. All right. So you got a basic lacrosse ball here. Those work great. You can go up and down one side at a time. Then you got the Mobility Wad Gemini. No jokes. I know what this looks like. And I wouldn't probably recommend using it for that. But basically, there's a channel here for your spine to go in, and that's perfect for working on those paraspinal muscles. Okay. So you can use that. And then also something like an acupressure mat, like the Spunk mat here, which you can see is a lot of little spiny flowers, and that will help basically through the same science as acupressure, acupuncture will help tight muscles release. It's funny that you actually wrote this in a couple days ago, because this morning I actually kind of tweaked something on my right side, kind of paraspinal muscle area, and this really helped. So that's a spunk mat, by the way. There's other acupressure mats, but this one's my favorite. Checked out a lot of reviews. Talked to the people at the company, really nice, very informed about their product and everything. So spunk mat, check that out. And again, this is the mobility wad Gemini. So those things are all great for self-myofascial release. Let's see. Oh, and then also I'd recommend trying some natural movements, kind of natural development movements. And these are things like head nods, rolling, crawling, various forms of crawling and rocking. These are something that I've known about for a while, but I really started to play with over the last 3 to 4 months, and getting more versed in. I actually demonstrated, a dozen or so of these in the last live training we did just this past Saturday. So if you want to check that out, a good resource of them, which I was originally turned on to them by, was Original Strength. I always forget it's originalstrength.com or .net. But also I did some demonstration over video, actually pretty much right in the same area, of different natural movements you can do, like I said, just this past Saturday, and you can get access to that inside the Optimize Self Dojo. So Tim, hopefully you join myself, the other Optimize Self ninjas and ninjets, as well as Pam, hopefully from the previous question, hopefully she joins as well, and we grow the family, because I know that would definitely help Tim, those types of natural movements. And also, whether or not you do join the dojo, I would definitely recommend taking the Optimize Self test. So you just go to OptimizeSelf.ninja, click the big red orange. It's like red orange. It actually changes when you hover over it. Click there, take the test, and that will allow me to go much deeper into my answer, because I know your question or questions will be more specific, like Pam was, and there'll be more data, more information for me to go off of. If you watch, Tim, if you watch my response to Pam, the previous question, and if Pam, you're still watching me talk to Tim here, you'll realize that my response to Pam is much more in depth, because by her taking the test, she's helping me help her more, and that even goes one step further inside the dojo. So general questions are great. They get general answers back. More specific questions with more specific data, which you provide me through the Optimize Self test, yields better quality answers. And then inside the dojo, because you'll have access to much more in terms of people, in terms of the Optimize Self arsenal, and continuing contact with me, we do weekly live trainings, will yield even better quality questions from you, which will then yield even better quality answers, more specific ones, to you. All right, so that's pretty much how the whole system works, in case you're wondering or even cared. So Tim, that's what my recommendations would be. All right, and Tim, I don't even know, did I take a drink in between the next one? Hopefully I did. That's the Optimize Self show drinking game. I drink between water between each question. So here we go, switching to the next one. Okay, so this one is a YouTube comment from, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Faiza Haq, Faiza, and then Haq, Faiza Haq, hopefully. Anyway, Faiza, thank you for writing in your comments. This was a comment made, and I forgot to even write this down, but it was on a YouTube video that I posted under the guise of the Posture Guy, or thepostureguy.com, and it was about being able to touch your toes, and do you have to stretch your hamstrings to be able to touch your toes? Short answer, no. But there's some questions, or I'm sorry, some exercises that I linked to in the original video post. And Faiza says, hi, I suffer from diastasis. I always have trouble pronouncing that one too. My pronunciation is not that good. Diastasis recti due to pregnancy. Can you give me modifications of these exercises for me because I cannot twist my torso or go on all fours because they can make my diastasis worse. For those of you not familiar with what diastasis recti is, it's basically abdominal separation. It is common amongst pregnancies. Sometimes people are born with it. Some people have it due to other abdominal injuries. So yeah, Faiza, what I would recommend, there was I believe 4 exercises on the original post. So here's the adjustments I would make. Keep the plantar fascia release with the ball, the first exercise. And the second exercise, which I believe is static extension position, do counter stretch instead. I'm gonna link to these in the show notes below. Then, I actually can't recall right now what the third exercise was, but instead of that, do flexion abdominal position, okay? And then instead of cats and dogs, which I know is the final one I recommended, do pelvic tilts. Okay, and again, I'll link to these in the show notes below, so check those out. In addition to that, because I have worked with prenatal, natal, and postnatal clients in the past, but the diastasis recti is something that I don't have too much experience with. The people that I would recommend you check out is Katie Bauman from katiesays.com and Jill Miller over at yogatuneup.com. And I'll try to remember to put some links in the show notes below because they have a lot of good information on that topic. Okay. And like the other people that the 2 other questions, Tim and Pam, that I answered previously, you might have seen if you watched the entire episode, or if not, you can rewind back and you'll see me talking, addressing them, is to go over to OptimizeSelf.ninja, over here, and take the Optimize Self tests, because inside there are some questions that'll help you kind of self-reflect and kind of formulate higher quality questions, more specific. I know these ones were specific to this particular exercise, but for whatever it is you're struggling with, for example, the diastasis recti, and look at what other factors in my life, things like breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, exercise, could be either contributing in a helping way or negatively influencing, kind of holding me back from achieving what it is I'm trying to achieve. That'll help you do so, and it'll also help give me more information so that I can better help you. Basically, it'll help the questions and the data I'll have from that. You'll be helping me help you better. All right. So again, you can find that over at OptimizeSelf.ninja. It's the Optimize Self test, and I think that about covers it. So Faiza, thank you for your YouTube comment. And one more thing, but this is from me. This is a question that I have for Pam and Tim and Faiza and anyone else watching. And that is, I want you to be honest here with me, right? Because lying is the devil. How healthy is your lifestyle? Or maybe a better question would be, how healthy do you perceive your lifestyle to be? And what are you basing that perception or your assumptions or your beliefs, whatever, on? How do you know what you know? Okay, so answer that. If you get this in an email, you can simply email me the response. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can go ahead and leave your response in the YouTube comments. If you're interested, like Pam did, like I recommended Tim and Faiza do, you can head over to OptimizeSelf.ninja, take the Optimize Self test. And I created that as well as a couple other tests that I'm working on for people who are part of the dojo to help people kind of self-reflect, become more self-aware, help them self-quantify more, so that it's very eye-opening to go, oh my gosh, I never thought how, breathing, the quality of my breathing could be affecting my lower back pain, or how my lack of hydration is keeping my tight glutes and hamstrings and calves from letting go, and that's why my feet turn out. Things like that. Those are just a few examples. But check that out. Or for example, how when I'm eating rarely is hindering my abdominal separation. That was one phase I was just thinking of. So go take the Optimize Self test, and like I said, let me know, how healthy do you think your lifestyle is? Okay, and how are you? What measuring stick, whether it be things you know or think you know or read, or beliefs or experience, or science and certain apps or things like that. How have you quantified that? Let me know, because I'm really interested to hear what you guys think and learn from your experiences. All right. Anyways, I guess before I go, if you're watching this on YouTube and you found this information helpful, then please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, I guess you could give it a thumbs down, but instead, I would love to hear in the comment section below something that you would find helpful. Ask me a question. I like questions, and I like to see the evolution of questions, especially after people take the Optimize Self test. Because I always tell people, challenge me so I can challenge you, so then you can challenge me, not in a debate or argument, but in a fun kind of, aha, oh, I see, aha, kind of back and forth dialogue. And that's why I even invite people to join me on the show. So if you want to ask a question and join me on the show to discuss it, more than welcome to have you. I can send you a special link, and you can be right here, obviously not in person, unless you're somewhere in Southern California. We can do that, but we can do so live, streaming live to everyone else, okay? So like it if you like it, thumbs down if you dislike it. If you can think of anyone who would benefit from this information or asking a question, me answering it, please share it with them. I know they would appreciate you thinking about them. I would appreciate it. You would be both of our hero. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the OptimizeSelf.ninja YouTube channel. Again, I'll link to this in the show notes below. Go like the OptimizeSelf.ninja Facebook page, and I think that's it. So with that, I will wave goodbye, and I will put up the outro page. All right. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and I look forward to seeing you inside the next episode. Until then, take care and be a good human.